tips and tools for creating your beautiful, thriving life, regardless of the conditions and situations sometimes, because we all want and deserve to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. This podcast is delivered alongside G100 Global Networkings and powered by Anchor FM by Spotify. Anchor FM is the super awesome free podcast made easy platform. And for this week, we are so very thrilled and very honored to have Mr. Eddie Anzora with us all the way from El Salvador. Eddie, would you care to share what is it that you do?
Hello, everybody. My name is Eddie Anzora, and I'm the founder of English School Training Center and also the program director at the Call Center Institute. Our focus is helping people get jobs with the English language. And yeah, that's the focus, is making sure people can get jobs here in El Salvador.
That is so awesome. That just super awesome. So what brings you to do what you do? Because if I know you for actually back in the day, long time, where you were in here cleaning animal cages, and so is it like always your passions to want to be teaching English, or what brings you to do what you do?
That's a good question. The part of the English part, it just happened, being at the right place at the right time. Yes, I went from working at an animal hospital, meeting you there, and from there I did get in trouble, and my papers were not correct. So I had possession of sales of an illegal uh, content or whatever. I'm not sure the word right now, but at the end, at that time, marijuana was seen as really bad. So having it not together and having two portions of marijuana was good enough for me to get possession of sales. So I was deported to El Salvador in 2007, and at that time I was 28 years old. And my last job, I did fight my case, so I got in trouble when I was, what, 20 years old, or 19 or 20, 19. I got in trouble. That's when I started my situation of my deportation proceedings. So I fought my case because all my family are citizens. I was taken to the United States when I was 2 years old,
Oh.
and basically I grew up there. And my situation, well, I fought it, and then I finally got caught up, arrested, and deported to El Salvador. So the teaching English part actually comes from, once I got here, my cousin told me, "Hey, um, there's call centers here, and you can make more than the normal person here." And at that time, it was $500 a month that they were paying for you to work at a call center. And at that time, I think the minimum wage was like $300
Mm.
or 280 a month of work. Um, 10 hours or 9 hours. Over here it's like you work 5 hours, and then I mean 5 days a week plus a Saturday half day for you to make about they don't pay by hour, they pay by salary.
Mhm.
uh, so then I started working at an animal hospital, I mean sorry, at a call center, and I started making $500. When I did the math, I think I was making like about 175 an hour or one. So big change from working at an animal hospital, and also from me trying to do the whole music thing, because I did the whole music thing once I basically went on the run. I didn't. My lawyer told me, "Hey, after 4 years of fighting my case, my lawyer told me, Eddie, that's it. There's no more. There's nothing else that I could do for you. Either you go into court right now and get deported, or you live the rest of your life um, running away from the cops or the police officers." And so yeah, that's been my story. And as far as, and then I get to El Salvador and I start over here in El Salvador at 28 years old.
So even when you were here, after after they caught you and they want to deport you, you were still in the United States. And how did you? Because being here in the United States, I know one cannot get a job. And were you scared? Were you just like hiding in somebody's basement, or were you still trying to make your life living in here?
always being careful. I lived that life. Once I started running from INS or immigration, I was like, nobody knew about ICE when they went to actually after I fought my case, and the lawyer told me, hey Eddie, after this they're going to be looking for you everywhere. And at that time, I did tell the animal hospital that I had problems, and they're like, okay. And they still let me work for a moment until they say if it's serious, then yeah, you can't work here no more.
Yeah.
But that was already a situation where I was already telling them, hey, I think this is not going to work out for me anymore. And what happens? Exactly that. They go and they look for me at the animal hospital, and I managed to get away. So instead of getting deported in 2007, I think I would have got deported in 2004. So yeah, I think I would have got deported a lot sooner. And yeah, so I had to go live somewhere where nobody, I was not on the paper that my family was there. And right after, the next day that they chased me from the animal hospital, 9/11 happens.
Mm.
So once 9/11 happens, it's almost like all the attention went into to another ethnic group than me. But that's when I learned nobody knew about ICE at that time, which is the immigration whatever enforcers. And and I had an experience of trying to get a job working under the table for some Italian guys. I worked the whole month thinking I was gonna make money, and at the end they're like, you know what, you did an okay job. Like we're only gonna pay you this much, not the whole thing. And that was the beginning of me feeling like not like a first class citizen, of somebody who's living in the shadows. And it didn't feel good when they gave me that. I was like, I'm okay. I don't want to work here no more. So I invested my money in music equipment and started doing the whole music recording studio, and that's basically how I got by, doing graphic design, marketing, and learning all about jobs that I always liked. But now I started reading a lot. I read a lot. A lot of my books are from the United States. I used to read a lot, like the whole Barnes and Nobles. I used to hang out at the Barnes and Noble, just do a lot of daydreaming.
Wow. Wow. So it was like you from running around like a kid, basically cleaning cages and being careless. The situations actually allow you to, well, basically, shall we say, grow up
Yeah,
and actually bring you to what you like, which is doing music and marketing and graphic design by using the resource you have. I mean, Barnes and Noble, anybody can walk in there and sit in the corner and read
yeah,
the book and
read.
things, right? And so that is so awesome. But then you ended up getting deported anyway at the end of the day. And so
Yeah.
how was that with you and having to come here and leaving, sounds like all your families and your loved ones in the US.
For sure. I was the thing about it, since I didn't get deported just like that, my whole situation of getting deported had been worked up already. I've been
Mm.
slowly, I knew my mom knew that one day I was going to be in El Salvador. We already had planned where I was going to go live with my cousin, because at the time, El Salvador in 2007, it was a war zone. I mean, people getting killed here,
Oh,
it was normal. People, I mean, no good news in this country. And anybody you talk to, everybody just wanted to leave the country. Nobody spoke well of El Salvador. So when I got here, yeah, it was a situation where it was slow. It had been building already. So it was what it was. I started here again. My cousin helped me out for like a month until he lives with his wife and everything. It's like, okay, I think it's time for you to find your own place. And I got a job at a call center, and that's where I started basically working here in El Salvador, and started with that. That was my first job here.
oh, wow, wow. So that's good that you come in and have your cousins for a month, but then you have to basically start over.
Yes, 100%. And I've always seen this lucky number is the number 42. So when I see the number 42 throughout my life, I always think that I'm walking the right path or whatever. When I went to go for the job interview, I passed my job interview, and I still need to live somewhere. So I go to this place where they give, because over here the jobs give you insurance, health insurance.
Mm,
And my luck is just I turn around and I look, and there's a building right in front of this health insurance place that's a block away from my job, the new job that I got.
mm,
Because where my cousin was living, it was far out. And I see a number and I call the number, and the lady was quick to go show me the apartment. And and as soon as we go in, the apartment is like, my eyes were Americanized still. So to me, that building was very ghetto, was very like, it was a brick building. It just didn't look cool. If you look at this building, it looks scary. And then you go through these stairs, like a New York style, Harlem style building. But and then my eyes are still like, to me, like, and then but for okay, so I go in there. The price was 2 bedrooms, a little area, and basically I'm by myself. So I have a window to look at I'm actually close to like the mall, and I'm
mm.
close to Sykes, or the call center. And I'm okay. So it's still ghetto to me, right? And I don't even know my money wise. I don't even know like what's a lot of money. What's up? But she tells me 125, and I've been to Hawaii before. So there's a gecko right there, and she takes off her sandal, and she's about to kill the gecko, and I'm like, no, 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 leave it there, leave the gecko alone. No, they're ugly, and then no, leave my gecko alone. I'm gonna rent this place. I want to rent, and then as I'm walking out, the number. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I see my lucky number,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I rent the place because that was a sign, like,
Yeah.
stay here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Thank you for sharing with us this very authentic moment. You know, it's, I can only imagine how it feels back in the day. Like you said, you're not sure about your money, and yes, you have family, you have relatives, really, not I mean, your cousins that you haven't seen for a long time, and
Yes,
all these thing, and at the same times, all the things you have to live, like you said, you walk in there with an American eye, and you're like, am I in the bomb shelter here or something?
correct. So the reason it gets to me, because living there was the best thing that I could do
Mm,
compared to other people, other deportees that I met.
mm-hmm.
They got killed here. A lot of people got killed here, when a lot of like, um, yeah, getting, it was just like I said, it was a war zone. So
Yeah.
a lot of people died in this country that I knew. Like, same story. Got deported. Try to I know a guy, like, for example, I met him on the plane. He tries to live in a neighborhood that his family lived also. The guys in that area didn't like him. They killed him.
Wow.
So it was real easy to get killed here. Like, that was like, it was a normal thing. It was very common. I mean, you could look at statistics. The US has statistics, and most people that get deported, if you're young and you got a couple tattoos, yeah, most likely you're gonna have problems with the guys in the neighborhood.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so
So
yeah, the 42 just gets to me, because that was like my lucky number, where I was like, I told the lady, you know what, it's okay. Here's your money. I gave her the money right there and there. Let's go sign papers, and that's where I lived there for 9 years.
Wow, wow.
I've been here 15 years already, 15.
Yeah. And how did you get from working at a call center to becoming the founder of English School? And tell
All
us a
right.
little more about English School.
Okay. So working at a call center. Um, okay, so I guess okay, so I'm a single guy, I'm by myself, working at a call center, 125 goes here, another $200 goes in food, and then you have a little bit of money, so, but it's not enough, like you want to save, so I started working extra jobs, like an extra call center job, another call center job, and that's for actually 1-800-Flowers, and I'm there taking the order, and the guy next to me, listen, he hears my English the way I guess native speaker or whatever, and he goes, "Hey, if you're interested in working, being a teacher, I know a place where they're hiring right now. I don't know you, so I'm not gonna refer you, but I'm gonna tell you where it's at if you want." And I go, "How much do they pay?" And he said $5 an hour, and I was like, $5 an hour? To me, that was like, yay, let me make $5 an hour, because at the call center I'm making about $2 an hour.
Hmm.
So that's basically the breakdown of giving like 40 hours of your time,
Yeah.
whatever. So I go try out, and in this job interview, I'm talking to the guy, but I'm really when it what do I know how to do like that would interest him? And I was trying to sell him on graphic design and web design and this and that. And but it was just hearing he was hearing me, and he was like, "You know what? We're gonna give you the job. You're gonna have to shadow for 2 weeks and watch other guys teach, and then you're gonna have your class for 2 weeks, and then we'll decide after a month of training if you're the person qualified for the job." And that was working for a startup. It was a startup English Academy.
Yeah.
It's $1 million company now, but I was there when the owner actually started with. I was like the sixth coach or teacher there.
Mhm.
So it was interesting seeing his well his climb to success also. I was
Yeah.
I was with them for a little bit too. So until I started English school.
So now you become a founder of and the CEO of English School. And how long have you been doing English School then?
English school is going to be 8 years, 8 years of teaching, of giving classes. We were doing about 6 years face to face, and the last 2 years have been online. I've been focused because I could scale a little bit more. I could get more students in the class, 15 or 20, when before 7 or 8 in a classroom would look like a lot of people. And also the cost, our cost with the English school program is very low. So there's not like it's not like I mean, we're talking about $25 a month was pretty low. So when the students were coming here and they used the bathroom, toilet paper, cleaning, receptionist, drinking water, bottled water, all that, electric bill, yeah, it was not adding up. So actually, the pandemic was actually something that helped me out because we went online. It pushed everybody to go online, and that's when I actually started doing better. Um, when I
So
went online.
sounds like it was even when you open English School. So sounds like at the beginning it was tough then until
Oh,
actually the pandemic allow you to be better.
yes, a lot of English academies were popping out of nowhere. There was a lot of them, and I can even tell you the story of when the electricity people came to cut it while we had the classes. I had 3 classes, and with a bunch of students everywhere, and we had fans, and the electricity people would show up to cut the electricity because I couldn't pay. It was more than what we were making, and I was like, "Come on, can you go ahead and just give it? Go ahead and leave it one more day. I'll go pay it tomorrow or later on today." He's like, and he looked at me and he looked at it was a school. The electricity people are like, "Look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna disconnect it, and when we leave, go ahead and connect it again." And so that's what I did, but it was embarrassing, like people are wondering what happened. But yeah, I was after 10 minutes I was able to put the electricity wire again illegally because that was the only way I was going to be able to finish that day of classes. I think they were cutting the electricity around 9 a.m. So it was the start of the day.
Oh, wow. But then actually when the pandemic happened, when a lot of people did you were you worried at all with the pandemic when the I mean, if you were doing the class in persons, were you worried at all with the when the pandemic happened, or you just immediately see opportunity?
No, no. It was okay. So how did I feel? Okay, so pandemic hits. It's the beginning of 2021, I think, and we're only about to 45 students, and I have about three teachers and myself. We're not doing good. That 45 students not enough to cover bills and everything, and then the pandemic hits, and we lose all the students, and I have to tell the teachers, hey guys, that's it. You know, you heard what the government said, and nobody could travel no more. You can't go outside your house. So they shut down El Salvador,
Mm.
and I think I only had one day of really worrying about life, like where I thought about everything, because I had my kids, right? I got two boys, my daughter, I have a stepdaughter, and also my wife. And so I'm like, there's five of us. So I'm thinking the only thing that helped me out a little bit in the beginning of the pandemic was that besides my English school, my classes, people were calling me to do extra work. So I was getting paid by the government to go teach this government program. And so I had $1,000 from that. And so for it was okay. You know, we were watching Netflix for a couple of days, but then the pandemic continued and people were dying. And yeah, so what did I do with those $1,000? I invested in Facebook marketing, and that's how I actually started off with one student, and then I had two students, and then three, and next thing you know, I had 100 students by myself. 100 students. That's when things were really good. I mean, we're eating out, buying food. Like the pandemic was not a problem with for me for a moment, and then I got tired and I started rehiring teachers.
So you are actually able to turn things. I mean, you got what it is and see an opportunity very quickly. Then that's super awesome, and that's actually what. And I think since then, your school, English school, and then these other things continue to grow. And at some point, you were recognized as I read a paper or something that you and actually tell us about your teachers. Something about your teachers that's quite special, aren't they?
Well,
Your
one of
coaches.
yes, one of the things I noticed that you can have teachers that learn the English here in El Salvador, which is great. They learn they know about grammar, but sometimes for the fluency and certain the syntax of like the American syntax and the way people talk and everything, sometimes it's good to have people from the US. So I actually started having a couple of guys that were deported also. So I started giving opportunity to guys who were deported and just giving them a rundown. Like now I had to learn grammar myself because I spoke the language, but you know, back in the day, what is an adverb? What is a verb? What is a preposition? What, you know, all these new terms, I've learned them because when I was working at that school that they gave me an opportunity, you know, there was a time when I remember a student telling me, so teacher, um, two times they got me off guard. So teacher, how, how's a phrasal verb? Can you explain how does a phrasal verb work? Like for example, take out, like, and then so at that time I faked it. Okay, so because you're taking and then you put it out, it's like a takeout. So yeah, and so I wrote note to self, you better go study how to explain phrasal verbs. So that was one. And also another one was well, this one was interesting when the students were like, you know what, teacher, we noticed that when you speak English, you have a certain sound that the other teachers don't have here. And I go, yeah, because I grew up in the US. Some of the guys didn't grow up out there, so their English doesn't sound like mine, but they're good teachers. And I defending them, right? No, yeah, we know, but you have a sound that you do that the others we're trying to find out what's that sound that you got. And at the end is was called the schwa. So it's the the that I have that the other teachers that I don't pronounce all the vowels. I sometimes I just say. So like I don't say was, I say was. what,
Mm.
So
Uh-huh.
all that I had to study, and that I had to teach to my new teachers, the deported teachers, because these are things that we don't care about. These are not things that we care about, but they
Right.
speak good English. So yeah, we gave opportunities to deportees.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So your teachers are native speaker. I mean, mostly native speaker.
Yeah, mostly native speakers. Uh-huh.
Or they grow up in English, with speaking English, and at the same times, that's allowing you to give people to help out people who are in your shoes back, at some point, being deported from the US,
For
to be
sure.
able to have a living. That is so beautiful. And I know at some point you receive an award from the president or the government. What was that about?
Okay, so I got to meet the president, shake his hand, pictures and all. One of the presidents, probably not the best president, but it is what it is. But yes, we got recognized as a school that helped people out, and just the whole idea of being deported and then continue. They actually were supporting that idea.
Making El Salvador great again. That is so beautiful. So from your experience, Mr. Anzora, how do you we all go through tough times, right? What would you say, your message, if people were to, and sometimes you just caught in a situation, sometimes we make, now looking back might be a mistake or maybe not, but what are some tips that you might be able to share with people when things happen, when you got to start over, when you try to build things, you talk about after being deported, you in a different conversations you mentioned you try to, even after being deported, you continue, after being on the run, you still try to build things, and then people, like you said, people just don't pay you right and all these things. How do you keep going? How do you not give up at the time?
Good question. Well, reading is really good because, or inspirational stories. So you have to also look at that. Christopher Columbus sailed across America. The Egyptians did the pyramid. So I'm always, I know man could do a lot. As what you set your limits to. As far as that goes, that you could do a lot, and it's patience also. Now that I'm 45 years old, also a lot of things that I wanted when I was younger, I wanted them quick. When a lot of times to become a master of something, it takes time, and but also be positive. Always, I always tell people, hey, it looks kind of bad, but just let's look at it the positive, or let's look for the solution and not dwell on the negative part of it. So yeah, that's been even with my friendships nowadays, I could have a guy who's probably a friend of mine who's probably loud and obnoxious, but I take him for what he is, and not it is what it is. Like, as far as I don't try to change him if he's not gonna want to change. Um, but I try to look at the bright side or the positive side of, besides him being loud and rude, he's also a nice guy. He also wants to help out. So it's weird, but you just gotta, for sure, try to look for something, a way to be positive, because that's one thing. There's the negative side of things and the positive side of things, and you got to look for that inspiration to stay positive.
That is so beautiful. And so, how do you still live in that little apartment?
No, no.
With the
One
gecko?
once I started settling down, and I met my wife, and that apartment was too small. So we moved around a little bit until we actually, now we live in the actual school. Because of that pandemic, we lived in another area, another house, and then we had the house, and we had the academy. So I'm actually, this office is in one of the rooms that was a teaching room. So I had four teaching rooms and a little reception area here at this house. So this place is actually pretty big. We never planned of living here. This was supposed to be the school, but we kept it. So yeah, we gave up the house, the smaller house, and we came to live here in downtown El Salvador, which again, who would have thought that I'll be living in downtown El Salvador? Like it was not known as the best place to live. Again, this was a a really dangerous country. Before, if you went on YouTube and you put El Salvador, you won't hear anything nice about El Salvador. I think now if you put El Salvador on YouTube, it's a lot more positive.
That is so awesome. So you are able with what you said with past patience and doing. I would say basically it like sounds like you do what you need to do where whatever situations. I mean, take the actions of what you can. I mean, if you know your cousin says, "Hey, your time's up, buddy," you
Yeah,
go find a job that you could, right? So
yeah, for sure. That's exactly the way that, that's you know we appreciate you and everything, but yeah, it's time for you to start your life. So yeah, I had to look for my apartment, found it by luck, and then got an opportunity to learn how to be a teacher, and now I've been doing it for a while, and we continue. Now I actually got started working with a new program, the Call Center Institute, where we're giving away scholarships so the students that have 55 to 65 could reach the 85% level, because that's about what you need to work at a call center. As long as you can understand and communicate, and if you could laugh at the native speaker's joke, that's great. But if you can't, it is what it is. But yeah, practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect.
practice make perfect, and so keep doing what you're doing, and that's beautiful. And now you are thriving and helping change the country that you were born with in, and allowing opportunity for other people. So sounds like you are helping. Yes, you're helping the people the deportees by giving them opportunity to work, and you are changing life for the El Salvadorians that's there by allowing them to learn English in a practical way.
In a practical way, exactly.
That is so awesome. And you mentioned about scholarship. So the your school even provides scholarship now. One of your school at least provides scholarship.
Yeah. So the idea is that the call centers, because there's a demand here for English speakers, there's a lot of call centers. We have probably like about 20 call centers, and out of those 20, about 10 of them are huge multi-million dollar companies here in El Salvador. And so they need more English speakers to answer calls or do tech support or do chatting. And they offer referrals. So when if I send them a student, usually they try to give us a referral for that student, and that's how the program continues. So with that referral money, we pay our teachers.
And so when you got when you send them students, they give you referral money. But sounds like that is so nice, because it sounds like when you got a referral money, instead of you putting it in your own pocket and make Eddie richer,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
you're giving it back. So when you get referral money, I mean, most people, most business says, "Hey, this is awesome, and put it in my pocket. Let me get a nicer car or a bigger house." But you're actually giving it back for the students, so they will be able to close the gap and be like you say, and be able to start working in where they can have a better life. That is so wonderful. That's so honorable. How do people reach you if they know somebody, but now sounds like you are on Zoom, so you'll be able to help people in practically any location. So how do people, if they want to say they know someone who can benefit from your service, or if anybody want to know more, if anyone want to be able to contribute to your scholarship for these people, how do they reach you? How do they connect with you?
Okay. So we do appreciate any help. That's great. At the moment, we have different transitions because the whole thing about online, what's nice is that we have people in rural areas. The internet is becoming more available, so even in rural areas, there's a internet signal, so that they can learn English and improve their lifestyle. We've seen a lot of results where all it takes is one person in that family to speak English to change the whole lifestyle of that family. So um, so we
all
do the
it takes
online.
is all it takes is one person in a
Yeah,
family to change the whole family. It's kind of like a trickle effect then.
yeah, to change the whole setup right there. The one person learning English, we see the results. I mean, sometimes I'll be walking and I see my students drive by like, "Hey, Coach Eddie," and I'm like, and in my head, how come he's driving and I'm not? No, what happens is a lot of these. What happens is this, that, and I think this is like in your country, Dr. Tan. When you live here, like us, our family members were the owners of the land and the uncle. So having your property, you could have property because it was your grandfather's property, your uncle's property. So that's that part, the rent part. But then after you have your rent cover, how about your food? How do you, when you live in these rural areas? So yes, right now I'm happy to say that I've seen kids that are like 20 years old driving a car or improving their lifestyle because now they're providing for themselves. They're not asking money from their parents. And I say kids, but we have women, a lot of women that are, because we have a lot of tough situations with the women here because the actual president right now has cracked down on gang violence. So there's been a lot of men that have gone to jail, are dead, or left the country. So there's a lot of women here, broken homes. There's a lot of
Oh.
broken homes. So we try to help them so they actually could learn English and also provide for their family.
Oh wow. So they so that is very interesting. I wasn't aware about that. So there's a lot of women, and I imagine it's also it help women to be independent then. It's a help just being able to speak English help women to be independent when the gentleman's not there, but they're in jail or leave the country. But also, I imagine if they are in an abusive situation or something, if they manage to somehow learn English, it's probably allow them to be to not be in an abusive situation, to be in a safer place.
Correct. And if, for example, yesterday we had a graduation and we graduated the new students that finished our program with the Call Center Institute. And I could tell you that about a percentage of the if you look at the graduation picture, it was about what, 70% women and 30% men that actually took the classes.
Wow.
So the women here are learning English a lot to improve their lifestyle.
Oh wow. And many of the women, they might have kids or in the future they have kids, and that's really a beautiful trickle effect. How do people connect with you?
Okay. You can actually send me an email at English Cool 24/7, which is like 24 days, 7 days a week, 24 hours, 7 days a week. English Cool 24/7 at gmail.com. You can reach me at that number if you want to call me. What's up? 503-7894-6282. And that's my what's up also.
That is so amazing of you for doing all these things. I mean, from cleaning kennel
Yeah.
in an animal hospital
Hospital.
to being on the run and making a living while being on the run in the
Yeah.
US. I can only imagine. And then having to start over completely in El Salvador, where yeah, you
during
were born.
during during not right now, not where we have all the Bitcoiners here and all the people Bitcoin and
Right.
people coming here. Tourism is booming here. No, before that, when people
Yeah.
were getting killed left and right here.
Yeah, I mean, you went back to El Salvador right at the worst possible time, sounds like, and somehow go from there to creating your sound English school
Uh-huh.
that making life changes and receiving an award from the presidents for making El Salvador great again. I mean, that is just that's just so inspiring and changing and that the trickle effect that you have for this, and the women, and all the beautiful trickle effect. Thank you so much, Mr. Anzora. Do you have one final message for our audience? For our audience that listen to this, do you have one final message?
Well, at the end is don't give up and stay positive, and there's always better days. There's always better days. So that's at the minute we're born, we know there's going to be a struggle. So just the way everything comes at you, take it one step at a time and get inspired. Look for something that inspires you, and then and also hang out with positive people. The more positive people, whether it be at church or other people that you know that could teach you something, hang out with people who are positive. I think that's the best thing.
That is so beautiful. Don't give up and stay positive. Hang out with positive people, because life is life. The moment we're born, we know that it's a journey. It's
a
not
journey
always,
for sure.
for most of us, it's not always red carpet, but don't give up, stay positive, hang out with positive people. Sometimes for some of us, we make a mistake, so-called, or seems to be making a mistakes in our life. And I would say, if you didn't make so-called that mistakes, you might still be here in Los Angeles, right? And not making a difference to so many people in their life, in the
true.
country that you're helping so many people, particularly in the trickle effect manner. That's so amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Eddie Anzora. It's such an honor to have you with us today. Thank you for sharing your amazing story and your wisdom for us. And for you, my friend, who are listening to this, please share one of or two gold nuggets in the comments so we can continue learning from each other. But even more importantly, that everything happen in this world. And sometimes, many times, people are struggling in silence. And so I encourage you and I invite you to share this with your friends and families, particularly those that you feel that they might be having a little bit of a tough times, or those who are less fortunate. Because as we can see with Mr. Anzora here, that it is just, even if we have made mistakes, even with all these things, at the end of the day, as he says, be positive, stay positive, connect with the positive people, and keep doing it one day at a time, and be patient, and you're making a huge difference. So I invite you, my friend, to share this with everyone you know, and to invite them with everyone you know, as well as to connect with Mr. Anzora. If you want to be able to help women, if you want to be able to help people who are less fortunate, one person in a family learn English, it changed the whole family. For many of us, we're in a very fortunate situation. So please share this podcast, and please share it with your friends and families and everyone you know, and encourage them to share so they too can triumph regardless of whatever has been going on in their life. And this is Dr. BirgitteTan, your grief transformation specialist for individuals and businesses, founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity, and United States country chair for G100 Global Networking's Lowell Ladies League. Very honored to be able to have Mr. Eddie Anzora here, who is going from Deported to making El Salvador great again with us today. And you, my friend, you too, make it a wonderful, thriving life. And we see you again very, very soon.